You assume checking a bag is the single low-liability part of flying. Drop it off, confirm your boarding status, and you believe the compliance process is complete. It is not, because the moment your property vanishes behind that rubber curtain, it enters an entirely unsupervised domain. A regulatory labyrinth of high-speed conveyor belts, pressurized cargo holds, severe environmental shifts, and a sequence of strangers handling your personal property before it is released back to you. If it is released back to you. In the current high-risk operational environment, systems are faster, mandates change quicker, and one minor structural violation can redirect your property to the wrong continent or scatter your belongings across a 737 floor contaminated with biohazards and jet fuel. This is a documented liability. If you believe baggage failures are merely bad luck, you have critically misjudged the systemic risk. We are dissecting the actionable facts and the warnings that baggage handlers wish were mandatory knowledge. Because no one talks about the security void that opens the second your bag leaves your control. We will. Let's breach the protocol. A soft duffel bag riddled with external pockets and dangling straps is perfect for a weekend drive, but it is a major structural liability on an airport conveyor system. Checked luggage is not handled gently. It is slammed, forcibly shoved, and squeezed through machinery that is indifferent to any external attachments. Loose straps snag, zippers jam, and if this occurs, your bag is immediately flagged for manual intervention, or, far worse, it is left behind. Hard shell luggage evades this entire risk profile. No loose components, no outer compartments to initiate a snag violation. Only a smooth, rigid case designed to slide through the system without drama and protect your assets when it sustains a hard impact. Because it will sustain hard impact. If your suitcase is not engineered for high-impact handling, it is not suitable for check-in liability. Every suitcase carries a travel history, but the only history the TSA mandate cares about is the present one. If you fail to remove obsolete airline tags or expired stickers from your bag, the scanner might misread the wrong barcode. And this misdirection protocol occurs with alarming frequency. This is precisely how compliant bags end up in Dallas when your authorized destination is Denver, or critically, how your property ends up flying solo to Frankfurt while you are still boarding in Philadelphia. All because a faded, non-compliant sticker from last summer's trip to Vegas was never peeled off. It sounds like a statistical fluke, but it is a systemic flaw that causes endless delay and liability. Before you exit your residence, strip every obsolete item from your property. Every old barcode, every non-compliant tag. A clean slate is mandatory. Your bag must transmit one signal only. This flight, this airport, this single destination. After prolonged flight, the absolute last thing you want is to engage in a guess that bag violation at baggage claim. But that is the inevitable result when your property appears identical to every other black rectangular liability unit circulating on the carousel. That is why marking your bag is a security mandate, but not with arbitrary markers. Forget the ornamental ribbon tied to the handle. It looks appealing, but it is a catastrophic risk in motion. Those loose ends are guaranteed to get caught in the conveyor system, and suddenly, your bag is pulled for high-risk manual handling. Best case, it's delayed. Worst case, it never exits the system. Instead, implement a marking strategy that is flat and bold. A highly visible strip of neon hazard tape across the side. A tightly fitted, brightly colored luggage strap that secures the body. I personally use industrial electrical tape to create a highly visible X on both sides of the case. Instantly recognizable, zero snag risk. Make your property easy to identify, but structurally impossible to jam the system. Because achieving visibility at baggage claim should never result in a systemic delay violation for every other passenger. Most travelers deploy a lock for a sense of security integrity, but if it is the wrong type, it will not prevent theft. It merely initiates a compulsory delay until an agent is authorized to cut it off. The TSA mandate randomly inspects approximately 5% of all checked baggage. If your suitcase is locked, the agency is legally authorized to gain entry one way or another. If the lock is not TAA approved, they will break it. No warning, no reimbursement, just a shredded zipper and a structural failure rolling onto the carousel like a piece of confiscated property. TSA-approved locks contain a universal master keyhole that grants agents the authority to unlock and relock without destroying your bag. You maintain a security perimeter, but without the high risk of your suitcase arriving with busted hardware. It will not deter a determined professional thief, but it prevents the unnecessary financial damage of having to replace a lock after every trip. Unless you enjoy the sound of bolt cutters destroying your property, adhere strictly to the TSA-friendly option. No one plans to lose their luggage, but when the failure occurs, the airline's primary question is always the same. Can you provide a precise inventory of the contents? And this is the point where most travelers completely fail, the compliance test. Was the blue shirt in that bag or the other one? How many chargers did you pack? What brand was the jacket? That is why executing a quick photo inventory before you seal the zipper is one of the most intelligent habits you can adopt. Just lay everything out, capture a clear image, and the liability record is complete. If your bag goes missing or if a piece of property is confiscated, stolen, that photo immediately becomes your definitive evidence file for the airline, for the insurance authority, and for your own documentation. Insurance entities actively seek this evidence. Why? Because it eliminates all ambiguity. No vague claims. No, I think I packed. Just absolute proof. It accelerates your case, guarantees a smoother payout authorization, and confirms that you executed due diligence, not simply guessing after the fact. One traveler reported their refund was processed in days purely because they had the photo and a basic itemized list. No argument, no compulsory delay. 10 seconds of preparation now could save you weeks of frustrating litigation later. This is a simple rule, but the violation is constant. Do not put cash, high-value jewelry, critical electronics, or important documents in your checked bag. No matter how secure your suitcase feels, the cargo hold is definitively not the designated security zone for any property you cannot afford to have confiscated or permanently lost. Over 2 million checked bags were officially delayed, lost, or mishandled at major U.S. airports last year alone, and the full value of the contents is rarely covered. Airlines impose strict financial caps. Some will not cover cash under any circumstance. Others cap reimbursements far below the genuine worth of your technology or gear. And the issue is not exclusively theft. Bags get involuntarily rerouted. Luggage is frequently stored in unmonitored rooms overnight. Locks are broken. Property disappears. If the item is critical, keep it on your person in your carry-on, within reach and under your direct control. Because once your suitcase enters that security void behind the rubber curtain, you will not see it again until the baggage carousel, if you're lucky. That expensive sunscreen, the glass bottle of high-end cologne, the dense body lotion you swore was essential. Now visualize every single one of them exploding across your clothes, soaking into your footwear, and seeping through every zipper pouch like a melted disaster crisis. It happens. Cabin pressure shifts, bags are aggressively flipped, lids fail, and even a single leaky bottle can result in a total contamination liability for everything else you packed. So here is the mandatory move. Seal every liquid item. Use heavy-duty zip-top bags. Use specialized leak-proof travel bottles. And for any item deemed high risk, double bag it. Position the sealed item in the dead center of your suitcase, fully cushioned by soft clothing, far from fragile or high-value items. You do not need to execute a full bubble wrap job on your toiletry kit. You simply must respect the physics of cargo pressure. Checked luggage is thrown around like it owes someone money, and your liquid shampoo does not stand a chance operating in isolation. You might assume TSA only focuses on your carry-on, but checked luggage has its own comprehensive list of banned and confiscated items, and a single violation can get your bag severely delayed, immediately flagged, or, critically, confiscated. Items like pyrotechnics, fuel canisters, Large lithium battery packs or pepper spray are an absolute non-compliance violation. Even an item as seemingly innocent as a camping stove or a souvenir knife can trigger a full intrusive bag inspection and a massive red "Do Not Load" alert tag. And here is the liability trap most travelers miss. TSA does not provide an in-person tutorial at the airport. You are mandated to check the regulation before you pack. Fortunately, they simplified the process. Go directly to tusaa.gov and execute a search for "What can I bring?" This is the precise regulatory tool agents utilize at every checkpoint. Type in any item, essential oils, battery pack, and the system instantly reports whether it is allowed in carry-on, checked, both, or neither. Confiscation risk. And if you are authorized to fly internationally, you must cross-check with that destination country's banned items list. Some items permitted by TSA may still be a compulsory ban elsewhere. You successfully check your bag, you board the plane, you land, and your property does not arrive. This happens more frequently than airlines are willing to admit. Sometimes the bag is just temporarily delayed. Other times, it is off on an unauthorized adventure. Either way, you cannot be left immobilized in the same clothing for the next 24 hours. That is why you are mandated to pack one full change of clothing in your carry-on: shirt, undergarments, socks, and perhaps something designated for sleeping. And if you are traveling with dependents, split their property between multiple bags. One parent reported that when their child's bag went missing, they managed the situation because she and her partner had each packed a complete outfit for the child in their own carry-on bags. It is a minor precaution, but it transforms a lost bag disaster into a mere mild inconvenience, especially if your layover turns into an unplanned overnight compulsory delay. When you fly, pack for the trip, but carry on with the full expectation that the worst-case scenario will occur. Everyone insists you must get to the airport early, and this is correct. But when the specific action is checking your bag, earlier is not necessarily a strategic advantage. Here is the conspiratorial reason why. The sooner your bag goes behind the counter, the longer it sits in an unsupervised regulatory holding pattern. More time in the overall system means a higher probability of it being misplaced, mishandled, or, critically, opened. Baggage handlers have even leaked this internal process. The first bags checked are typically loaded first and are the most likely to be pulled off if a weight adjustment is mandated. Conversely, bags checked closer to the cutoff deadline remain actively in the flow and are handled less. Do not cut the time too close, but if you have excess time to spare, wait until you are closer to the formal deadline, approximately 45 minutes before schedule. Boarding. This drastically shortens the time your luggage is out of sight and reduces the overall odds of it taking an unauthorized detour, because sometimes last in truly means first out and less vulnerable to external interference. The second your suitcase vanishes behind the check-in counter, you are flying blind unless you implement a self-tracking mandate. Most major carriers now authorize you to follow your bag's status in real time through their proprietary applications. Delta, United, and American all report when your property is scanned, loaded, and even the specific carousel it will be delivered to. This feature is free and surprisingly accurate. But if you demand absolute peace of mind, immediately slip a dedicated tracking device, such as an Apple AirTag or Samsung SmartTag, into your bag. These minute GPS tags sync with your phone and display the precise location of your suitcase, even if the airline's internal system has completely failed to locate it. One traveler recounted that when her bag failed to arrive, the airline had zero data on its location, but her phone displayed it was still sitting in a departure airport storage room. She walked to the service desk, presented the live map, and they retrieved it within minutes. Just ensure you conceal the tag under a liner or inside a zippered pouch. It is small, legal, per FAA lithium guidelines, and it could prevent a total baggage mystery crisis. A suitcase that clearly signals high value is an open invitation for confiscation and theft. And thieves operating at airports are not guessing. They are actively scanning. This is where luggage covers become an immediate security asset. A tightly fitted elastic fabric wrap can make your sleek, high-end designer bag appear completely generic, even structurally boring, and that is a desired outcome. This is not exclusively about theft prevention. Covers also provide a robust barrier against scratches, liquid spills, and that pervasive black conveyor belt grime contamination no one discusses. Bonus: they assist you in identifying your suitcase from a significant distance without using any item that could initiate a snag violation in the system. Just select the appropriate style. No dangling straps, no exposed metal hooks, nothing that can catch. Opt for spandex or a polyester blend that conforms tightly to the suitcase body, and confirm it is specifically engineered for checked luggage, not just a fragile rain shield. Some travelers utilize the full-body plastic wrapping services like Secure Wrap, typically costing around $15 to $20, depending on the airport. This is a common habit, especially on international routes, but here is the handler's liability warning. That plastic wrap may be creating more harm than benefit. Aside from the massive environmental waste, it renders your suitcase significantly harder to handle, less mobile, less slide-friendly, and requires exponentially more manual force to load. Want to know the handler's definitive ruling on this? Just wait till the final revelation. Everyone remembers to apply the external identification tag, but what happens when that tag is forcibly ripped off during transit? That is why you must always embed a piece of paper inside your bag containing your full name, a reliable phone number, email address, and your final destination. Some elite travelers even include their return flight details in case the bag is lost on the way back to their origin. It is a simple, non-electronic backup protocol that can make the difference. Because when your property is located but has no external ID whatsoever, this small slip of paper is the only thing authorized to get it back to you faster and with significantly fewer bureaucratic headaches. These are not simple travel blog tips. These are survival mandates issued directly from the personnel who physically load your property, often pre-dawn in inclement weather and with zero time authorized to handle your expensive suitcase gently. If you require your bag to survive the systemic gauntlet, adhere strictly to what they desperately need every traveler to know. Acquire a four-wheeled bag, period. If it glides, they will roll it. If it resists movement, it will be tossed. This is not an act of malice. It is the physics of the loading mandate. 4 wheels simplify the required manual labor, and your bag is treated with comparatively more care when it glides, instead of requiring a drag violation. Quality, reinforced fabric outperforms cheap plastic. High-end bags, Tumi, for example, possess canvas-like exteriors with high-strength internal frames, and they sustain the impact. But the majority of hard shell bags will crack, dent, or split after a few high-impact trips. The only functional exception might be specialized Pelican cases, but those are closer to armored gear vaults than luggage. Zippers are a critical security asset. When low-quality zippers fail, your personal clothing ends up scattered across the belly of a 737. Handlers will attempt to scoop it back in, but that cargo floor is absolutely not a clean environment. Your clothing may return smelling of biological waste, jet fuel, or worse. And frequently, everything is coated in a fine gray dust from the friction of aluminum components during transit. Please stop shrink-wrapping your bags. They despise this violation. The plastic wrap locks the wheels and renders the suitcase impossible to slide efficiently. Therefore, instead of rolling it gently, they are forced to toss, swing, or aggressively drag it just to fulfill the loading mandate. Always use a TSA-approved lock. Never use zip ties or non-TSA padlocks. If TSA requires immediate access to your property and cannot achieve it, the bag is pulled from the system and potentially left behind. On rare occasions, a supervisor authorizes the lock to be cut, but you will not be reimbursed for the damage. TSA locks will not guarantee zero theft, but they prevent structural zipper failure and maintain a secure perimeter for your property until arrival. Do not overpack, just don't. Bags that explode open at the claim carousel invariably have two things in common: too much material forcibly jammed inside a low-quality bag, Weak zippers combined with cheap fabric equals an inevitable disaster. When those bags blow, your property is ejected. Do not stuff the external zipper pocket. If it bulges, it will catch. This is the single easiest way for a bag to be torn open on the conveyor system or jammed in a cargo hold. Flat items only. Anything bulky belongs inside the primary compartment, and never, ever place your critical keys or necessary medications in checked bags. If your suitcase is lost or delayed, you are completely immobilized, and no one is authorized to pry open a cargo hold to retrieve those items for you. These are not tips. They are the survival tactics for your critical property. That is the definitive final ruling. Small adjustments now yield massive differences later. Your luggage might not verbally thank you, but your future self standing at baggage claim absolutely will.